Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy V-Dog back here with another video. Right at the end of Shadowlands, I thought we'd end strong with a nice YouTube video to see the expansion out. I got the washing machine in view. I know it's a fan favorite, so bear with me here. This video is all about my key bindings. You know, in 2 days' time, we're hitting pre-patch, so I might just be changing this entire UI. To be honest, I'm very likely to uninstall ElfUI because I cannot handle the amount of shit that ElfUI does to my computer. Anyway, before I go changing everything, let's just do a video right at the end of the expansion, going over the key bindings I used for the entire expansion. I know that I'm good at the game, right? So I'm a 3-time multi-rank 1, multi-CE, but that does not mean that you should copy my key bindings in any way, shape, or form. I've been using these since I started playing the game seriously when I joined BFA Season 4 Fire Mage. That was a good time. And my key bindings have changed since then, but the core rotation of my combustion has mostly stayed the same. So I've blown up my action bars here, as you can see, and I've just run through everything real quick. This is mostly for keepsake because I think my key bindings are actually pretty terrible, especially my combustion rotation. So let's just go through it here. So you got your 1 through 5, you got your Fireball, Scorch, Fire Blast, Dragon's Breath, Shimmer. Those are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I have my Conjure Refreshment and Eat Refreshment on Shift 6 and 6, because those are a bit out of the way. I'm not really pressing those inside of a rotation anyway. It's a bit of a reach for the hand, but I can press those there. But yeah, we got the 1, the Fireball, got the 2, the Scorch to move around, 3 is my Fire Blast, there's a 1 with Fire Blast, alright, and then 4 is Dragon's Breath, and it's 5. Done. Alright, now you might see here we have Shift 1 is Pyroblast, Shift 2 is Flames, Shift 3 is Stoneform, Shift 4 is Arcane Intellect. So I don't use an MMO mouse. My mouse just has 2 clicky buttons, a middle button that you can scroll up and down, and then it has 2 side buttons. That's pretty much all I have to work with, so a lot of my bindings are just shift alterations. So I have the 1 through 5, or 1 through 6, and then I have shift 1 through 6. And I really only use shift 1 and 2 during my rotation. So these are buttons I do press, shift 3, 4, 5, but they're kind of outside of that. So shift 1 is Pyroblast, which is a very interesting key binding because it's a spell you want to use a lot, especially on Fire Mage, is you want to actually have your Fire Blast on the keyboard, but my Fire Blast is on 3 and my Pyroblast is on shift 1. So here's a 1 into a shift 1. I'm going to do a Fireball into a Pyroblast is 1 into shift 1. I think that was the main reason behind the decision on the keybind. And then of course we have Shift 2 for Phoenix Flames. It got added this expansion, so I just put it right next to Pyroblast. Alright, on my second action bar here we have my on-use trinket is this button, Shift Y. My Frost Nova is Shift F. My health stones are Shift G. Control F is actually an F me add-on. It makes my other account follow my character, so Control F's a bit of a weird keybind anyway. I'm not pressing that one. Z is always my defensive ability, so on Mage it's my Ice Block. X is usually my AoE button. I don't really need Frostbolt binded on Fire Mage. It's mostly just because I've been doing some PvP that I want Frost on my bars, so this is a bit of a free button right now, my X. C is the button that I press a lot just out of combat. You know, it's just the refresher button, so on a lot of other classes C just gets pressed a lot. V is my interrupt. Shift Z is invisibility, which can cause some concern because Z is ice block and Invis is Z. You really got to make sure you press Shift so that you don't press ice, as happened a couple. Shift X is always my CC ability, so on Mage it's Polymorph. Shift C is either Soothe or Purge or Spell Steal. So Shift C is my Spell Steal. And then I put my potion on Shift V. So this is another awkward interaction here, is my kick is on V, which you're using very often, and then my potion's on Shift V. So you might see some issues with this, with these keybinds here, is I'm pressing Shift a lot to alternate my Pyroblast that's on a Shift alternate, but then if I'm wanting to kick, I need to not be holding Shift down because then it's gonna use my potion. Anyway, let's keep going. I've got Shifting Power on Q, I've got Arcane Explosion on E, because these buttons are really easy to press. So Q and E just get pressed a lot. You know, on Frost Mage, my E is actually Blizzard. So this is kind of my other AoE button here is E. E is just the button that gets pressed a lot, so it's the closest button, it's the best button. On all of my characters, on all Covenants, I use Q and Shift Q as the Covenant ability. So Q is always the Covenant ability, and then Shift Q is the soul shape, or whatever it is, depending on Covenant. Control G is my health pot, so I've got Shift G for health stone, and I've got Control G for health pot. If I'm wanting to use both, I've just got my index finger on G, and then I flip my left pinky between the shift and the control button. Because shift and control are right next to each other. Some people might say control G is a bit of a stretch on your hand, but it is. All right, I'll admit it's not the best keybind for a button that you need to press in emergencies, but I get away with it. I think I've managed to do it pretty well. I think I use health stones and health pots plentiful. All right. Y is my alter time. A nice keybind. I've picked that one up this expansion. You might have noticed I don't use T because T is my auto run. I press that button for like all of my characters, for all of my movements. I've tried rebinding my auto run, but I just hit T. Every time you see me moving in game like this, it's because I've pressed T. So T is like my favorite button, and it's auto run for me. And I cannot change that. There's something that is likely never to be changed. So therefore I've got Shift T is my decurse, which is a mouse over macro decurse. Alright, let's just keep going. F is my rune of power. You know, we just have our good buttons here. So we got F and G. G is my mouse over flame strike. Mouse button 3 is my NG res. So that button is a bit of an awkward one to press. You're just pressing the scroll wheel in, and that is my NG res there. So I'm pressing the scroll wheel and it uses NG res. I've talked about Shift Q as my soul shape. Shift E, this button gets changed a lot, so I've been PvPing, so I've been using Ring of Frost for my Shift E. But sometimes I'll put my extra action button here, and you can see me swapping these buttons around. So over on the right hand side of the screen, which on the camera I need to point this way, over on that side of the screen over here, just above my DPS meters, I just have all my clickable buttons, and then I've got my mouse buttons. So I've got mouse button 4 and shift mouse button 4. Mouse button 5 is usually free because that's my push to talk button on Discord. And then I've got shift mouse wheel 3 is my bloodlust. So I hold shift and I press the scroll wheel, and that is my time warp key binding right there. And then mouse wheel up and shift mouse wheel up. Those change a lot. So in PvP I use mouse wheel up for my Ring of Fire, but in PvE content when I'm raiding, that'll be my mouse over. And then usually I'll put this button here, which is my interact with gateway button. So I'll have interact with gateway, shift scroll mouse wheel up, and then mouse wheel up is my focus. So I can use focus spells. And that's all my keybinds. And then I've just got my mount button. This might be important for everyone, is tilde, but my keyboard is a bit of a weird one. I got a ducky keyboard, so I actually have to hold shift tilde to mount up, and that's my keybind. And then Control C is like it's a keybind I have, but I don't like pressing it, so I kind of just put it onto the waist. Yeah, I hold down shift and I press escape. Now I'm gonna show you guys my rotation. I just pressed combust. Yo, I forgot to say my combust is on R and slow fall is on shift R, which is not good. I'm gonna have to wait for that to come off cooldown. Keep looking at my left pinky because it really hurts when I do this too much. Alright, without further ado, let's do a single target combust. Shift 2, shift 1, 3, shift 1, 3, shift 1, shift 2, shift 1, 2, 3, shift 1, shift 1, F, U, 1, shift 1, 1. Now we're going to do 3, shift 1, 3, shift 1, shift 2, shift 1, 3, shift 1, 3, shift 1. So it's a bit slower with me commentating on all of that, but that's my rotation. And let's go for an AoE combustion. So hardcast flame strike, we'll press R, 3, 3. Okay, this is going too fast for me to comment. You can get the gist of it. There we go. That's AoE rotation. I hope that was useful. And you might see why my pinky hurts so much. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in Dragonflight. Goodbye.